Hello, everyone. You asked and we listened. Once again, we are back and we are joined by our good friends, Robert Samborsky of Apollo Nutrition, Anarchy Labs, and of course, the lovely Juan Salazar of Gainz Express. How's everybody doing?
I'm doing great. I got a little bit of congestion, but I'm still ready to hate.
Now, Juan, I know you just had a big meal. Don't fall asleep on me here, brother. Don't fall asleep on us.
I'm so full.
So, Robert, let's quickly address the elephant here. You had your fight. I know there's a lot of chatter here. How are you feeling? What's going on?
I'm feeling great. My hand is a little bit busted up, but other than that, everything is fine.
And I know you're talking a lot here. Are you talking seriously? Thinking about another one here? You got the bug or what?
I don't know if I got the bug. I think I'm open to it 100%. I don't want to, the intention was that it's one and done, and now I'm just keeping my options open. I'll continue training, and we'll see how it goes. I'm not saying I will do it. I don't know. I don't know if I'm not going to do it. I'm definitely open to it. I would love to do it again.
And I know you posted for a couple of challenges here. Has anybody kind of raised their hand yet up for the challenge to take you on?
Nope.
Pe- People can read the feed and see who's thrown in there. I don't know if we want to stir up any shit or controversy here. Um, but let's talk the big news of the week here. Ghost and the big purchase by Dr. Pepper Keurig. Juan, I'm sure you saw this. What were your thoughts, brother? $990 million for one payment, but a second one coming.
First off, I want to say I love Ghost. If they want to, get me on for something, I love Ghost because they got the money now. Now, it threw me off because I was like, man, Dr. Pepper and Ghost. Like, I wouldn't think of it. And at first, I thought maybe they were trying to do something together. But, after reading it some more, I think it's more of kind of like a logistic distribution type of deal that they're trying to acquire. Like, that's what they're going to leverage it based off of, from my assumption and from what I saw. But I definitely can see like all the Dr. Pepper flavor brands, they're gonna try to incorporate some kind of energy drink collab flavor with it. And that would be very curious to see because Ghost energy drinks are, they're carbonation drinks, and Dr. Pepper has all these carbonation flavors. So I'm very curious to see. If they have a Ghost Canada dry flavor, I'm gonna try it out. 'Cause I love ginger ale and Dr. Pepper.
And Robert, what were your thoughts, brother? I'm sure it was news to you. I mean, you're ingrained in the industry. Were you surprised or what?
No, I wasn't surprised at all. I mean, I think Ghost is a very, very hot commodity, so I don't think it's to anyone's surprise that somebody acquired them. I thought that there was room to grow for them even more. I don't think that they got bought at the peak. I think they could have gone even further because they were just on the rise. No pun intended. But I think that it was very smart from Dr. Pepper and Keurig to make that offer and to purchase them. I think was perfect purchase. And no, I think it's great. It's great for Ghost. They deserve it. It's an incredible company. I'm a huge fan. I mean, I think what they've done is absolutely remarkable. I know a lot of people are jealous, but listen, I mean, they stand out. They've done something that nobody has done before, and I love their products. I like the energy drinks, and I think good formulations. I mean, it's actually a brand that unlike some other trendy brands, I think this brand is actually solid, and from flavoring to presentation to being different. I mean, I think it's great for Dr Pepper.
I'm sorry, I can't let. And ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Big Head, Mr. Shane Smith, just learning the new technology here. Beautiful forehead. Shane, are you with us?
Uh,
Okay.
he's still figuring it out.
So, Robert, do you know? I'm assuming Dr. Pepper is probably just buying the drink, and maybe Ghost is still taking care of the supplements. Have we heard anything more about that?
That's what I was thinking, but I was told that they buying the whole thing. I mean, I could be wrong. I could be wrong, but I mean, obviously the energy drinks are kicking ass, and they growing crazy. So either way, I think it's the right move. I think it's perfect for them. They can't go wrong with this purchase.
And I know I didn't think I sent it to you, Juan, but I sent it to you, Robert. Applied Nutrition over in the UK went public. I don't know if I've ever heard of a true supplement company going to the stock market, even though it's the international stock market.
Well, they're very big. They're
Yes.
huge in UK. When I was at the Arnold Classic in UK a couple of months ago, I mean, that company is huge. I don't think that they doing very well in the United States, which I'm not surprised. But in UK, they absolutely huge, and maybe the biggest company in UK or among the biggest ones, and they doing absolutely phenomenal. So again, no surprise whatsoever.
Shane, are you with us?
Is my connection shit? What is going on here?
We can see you. We can hear you. We have you from the nose up here. You're like the neighbor from whatchamacallit.
Yeah, I'm looking.
Wilson.
Home improvement.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah,
The guy that hides behind the fence.
Yeah, Wilson.
Yeah, I don't know what the hell's going on here. What is like I'm?
There you go.
I
Right
mean,
there.
I
Right
see.
there. Don't move. Right there.
Oh wait, so you can see me actually moving?
Yes.
Oh, okay. Because on my screen, it's just fucking like my head's frozen. Yeah, I don't need to see myself. That's okay.
Dude, you have one of the biggest websites on the planet here. You're up with technology and you can't even work your phone or your computer. Come on, brother.
Hey man, don't blame the tools. I'm just stupid.
So Shane, I know you just jumped into it. We were talking about the whole Ghost and Dr. Pepper Keurig here. Were you surprised or did you already know on the inside here?
No, I didn't know. Like I had a meeting. I talked to Dan yesterday. I wasn't aware at all. Pretty cool though. Very cool.
I have a question about that. So, seeing that Ghost is going to be the first one to set the trend and the bar for it, do we see any of these big brand supplements getting bought out as well? Because right now the supplement industry is like piping hot right now. So, do you think we could see any other big purchases along the way as well too, like coming soon?
I wouldn't think so. Like, I mean, their drink just destroys. Like, I would assume what their supplements might be. Like, their supplements do well, but I would think that their sales are probably not even close to one another.
I'm thinking Rise. Rise would be next, in my opinion.
I mean, yeah, I don't know. The supplements are big for Ghost. Like, the Ghost supplements is big by any stretch of the imagination, like compared to most supplement companies. But from what I know, the drink is probably the main reason that without the drink, I don't know if they would have sold.
Shane, have you heard anything about the supplements though? Is Ghost going to still keep the supplement side of things, or do you know?
No, so both sold.
Really? So okay, so I don't know how Dr. Pepper is going to go ahead and handle the supplement. It'll be a whole new ball of wax for them.
Well, I mean, I think Dan and Ryan are staying on, so it's not like it's not like when I guess you hand over everything. Like some of the deals that we've seen in the past, like with Glanbia, like PSN, Optimum, Dymatize, it's not like complete handoff. They're staying to do the supplements. So
okay,
I think you're right. Like I don't think they have any experience, so that's probably what Dan and Ryan are sticking on for. Like I mean, that's a dangerous brand when they're that big and they're really just focusing on that.
Yep. Okay. So are you at supply side right now, or where are you coming to us from?
I mean, I can't see myself on the camera. This is Excalibur, the beautiful Excalibur castle.
Okay.
That's where I'll be tomorrow.
It's amazing. I mean, I say this like I mean, it is what it is. But when you look outside and you see like a castle, it's pretty fucking cool. I'm not gonna lie, it's pretty sweet.
Nice.
I know it's not real, but you know.
So, guys, we got a bunch of questions here. Shane, people didn't know you were joining us, but thank you for chiming in here. So we'll kind of, do what we do best here. Robert, first one for you. What are your favorite subs from your brands?
Jeez. Well, I'm not gonna go into pre-workouts. I mean, probably the one I use would be Lionheart or Desperado, but the one, of course, I'm most proud of is Hooligan. In terms of using supplements, I would say 50/50 Formula X. That's the one I use all the time, I would say on a daily basis. Flavor is different, but right now my go-to is chocolate hazelnut. That would be my go-to right now. And other than that, I use pretty much all the health line. That would be, I would say, I would use I use maybe 70-75% of the health line.
Okay.
That's my staple. And of course, the staples like Enigma, that's used on a daily basis when I train. And the hot rice, obviously, I mean, that's a daily thing as well.
Shane, what about you? You've tried almost everything under both brands. What are your favorites?
From
either
Apollo?
or Anarchy.
I mean, I still got to stick with Lionheart, but I will admit the new Hooligan is nice. Pretty damn good. I've only taken it for a ride twice, but damn, it's pretty. It's might be my new favorite over Lionheart. I know Lionheart. Like, I don't know if it's still around. I know that Robert mentioned something, but yeah, it's. I think Hooligan might be my new favorite.
So how does it compare to the other versions in your mind, though? I know this is kind of a little bit lower on the stims versus like previous renditions, if I remember correctly.
I mean, it's lower, but it's not that much lower. It's a little more balanced. I like how it's got a lot more for pretty much all the areas, basically.
Okay.
I think it's just a much juicier all arounder.
Okay. All right, Robert, this is a weird one, but it says, which real life portrayal of Batman would Robert not want to fight? I'm assuming it's which actor that played Batman. We got some juicy ones tonight. And I think we know who asked this one if we look around the room here.
Juan, you're pretty fucked up. Really?
No,
really? Yeah,
I got walls over here.
I don't know about your nose, but you definitely fucked up in the head to come up with that.
I got walls around here. I can't believe it. Wow, there's walls in my house.
I know who I would want to fight. That would be Ben Affleck. But that's the one I would, because he sucked. But other than that, I mean, I like all of them pretty much. So none. Ben Affleck I would fight.
What would you say, Juan? Well, flip the question to you.
I don't want no smoke with the Ben Affleck Batman. I'm sorry. I never forget that part where he did a right hook swing and that dude just went this way, head first, plotted into the ground. I was like, nah, you got it. I don't want to fight with you. You got it. You can take everything I got. I'm cool. You can have it. I don't want no problems with you.
I'll take Adam West. Current Adam West. Is he still alive?
No, he just died 2 years ago, like 90, Shane. So.
Oh, okay.
So wait a minute here. So speaking of movies, since we opened up that door, got a bone to pick with you here, Mr. Smith. Okay. You know where I'm going with this.
No, I don't. What are you talking about?
I do. That was pretty bad.
Goodfellas. I don't know if you've seen this one. He finally watched Goodfellas.
Really?
It was great. It was a really good movie.
Have you ever seen The Bronx Tale?
Yes.
Nope.
Another great movie.
Have you ever seen The Bronx Tale? Oh my god.
So, all right. So Shane, what made you finally watch Goodfellas after it's been out for 30-something years? It's a classic.
Because it was on the plane. I usually watch like classic films. I watch a lot of like 50s, 60s, late 40s. And then when I went to the classic section this time, I was like, where are my black and whites? What the hell's going on? And it was bloody Goodfellas. And I was like, you know what? It's the oldest one on here. I'll give it a watch.
So what were your honest thoughts? Are you a gangster movie type person?
I mean, what kind of question is that? I mean...
Well, if it took you 30 years to freaking watch it, that's a valid question.
I mean, okay, you can't really say it's a gangster type film. It's more of like I would say it's more like a thriller or a drama. You can't say gangster film. Names throughout the decades, gangster films have taken on different forms. So, like, while I feel like someone who's a fan of that gangster film may not be a fan of today's gangster film.
Wait, but Robert, chime in here. Help me out here, Robert. You love the classics, The Godfather, The Goodfellas. Come on now.
Yeah, it's a classic. I wouldn't say like I'm a fan of.
You know what? I mean, I wish that I could like really, really criticize him right now, but I mean, again, I can't, because there are some classics that I haven't seen. So
yeah,
I've watched what's his name? Casablanca a few times. Like I prefer movies of that era in terms of classic.
I think when you like movies so much, there will be a couple of classics that you will just bypass for whatever reason. It just never happens. I mean, look, I've never watched Star Wars, and that's something that everybody picks on me all the time, which is totally normal. I'm not getting like upset or anything like that because it's weird that I haven't seen Star Wars, not even one. But I can definitely see like somehow you will, there was another one that I've never watched Citizen Kane.
Okay, I haven't either.
I've
I'm
watched
not a classics, but
I've watched Citizen Kane at least 10 to 15 times.
So that's the one that I definitely have to see, but I still haven't watched it.
It's a very, like, I guess for the time, and I mean by time, I mean like 80 fucking years ago, but like, it's a weird story to watch when you go back that far. Like
so
how
Shane,
they tell it.
on the way home, see if they have a movie called Casino. It's the same type of movie as Goodfellas, a little bit different, great cast as well.
Yeah.
Nah, I think I know that one. Is that 70s or is that 80s?
It came out in the
No, it
90s, but
actually
it takes
came
place in the
after.
70s.
It came after Goodfellas.
Yeah. It's a 90s, but it takes place like through the 70s, 80s, 90s
Yeah.
throughout. So it's like a period piece almost.
Same
Some
cast,
action
same
films.
director.
Some action films in the 80s and 90s I just cannot fucking stand because they just look like absolute dog shit. I don't know what it is. Like maybe their frame rate wasn't that great around then. It just looks like a bunch of dudes running through the street like on a home camera. I don't get it, but like I don't know what it is. Just there's a certain time when I'm like, nah, turning this shit off.
So this
Goodfellas.
is go ahead. Go ahead.
Goodfellas was good. I liked it. I thought it was really good.
Would you watch it again?
Yeah, probably. I could watch it again.
Okay. So here's a question that did come up, and Juan, we'll start off with you here. Shows or movies that you would watch over and over, opening up that question.
I would watch The Devil's Rejects every single day if I could. I love that Rob Zombie movie. Devil's Rejects is one of them. Shows, I watch 2.5 Men every night before I go to bed. The Charlie Sheen version.
Okay.
And that 70 Show.
Rob, I'd say you'd say Rocky, but what else would you watch over and over?
Believe it or not, Seinfeld.
I did not know that about you. Oh my God.
Yeah, Seinfeld's good.
Yeah, Seinfeld, Friends, Frasier. I mean, those shows I can watch anytime.
I'm sorry, I hate Friends. I don't understand Friends. I hate Friends. Ugh. I don't know why. I fucking hate Friends.
There was a very, very old show, like extremely old, maybe 70s, I think, called Sanford and Son.
Yes.
That show, you can put it right now, and I won't stop watching it.
That's when shows were good, when people didn't care about racism. Think about the shows in the 70s, the Jeffersons, All in the Family. But I know the other two guys here, they're young, Robic. They don't know those shows.
They know Sanford and Son.
Yeah,
I know it because my mom told me about it.
All right, so here's another one here. We'll ask the room here. Any new branded ingredients for blood flow, nootropics, etc., that you guys are seeing or hearing about?
Nothing comes to mind.
Because I know you're a big Cell Flow 6 guy, but that's not really new, Robic. Obviously, that's one of your favorite ingredients.
I like that ingredient. I mean, it's definitely, proven to be phenomenal. I like it. Nootropic, that's a tough one. There are ingredients. I get like fucking emails on a daily basis with all kind of ingredients, and I will discuss it with Robert Shinetsky. There is nothing specific that comes to mind. There is like groundbreaking, something unique, something special. I mean, the last one that was in terms of pump that made a lot of noise, unfortunately got me into trouble a little bit. It was 3D pump.
Yep.
But I'm still gonna stay by what I said before. I'm not overly impressed.
What was the one you sent me early? Glycosurge? I haven't had a chance to look that up. Was it Glycosurge?
Glycocarn, which is a
Glycocarn.
yeah, it's a carnitine. But yeah, I've been asked about that ingredient a few times. I actually discussed it with Robert Chinetsky also. Um, I mean, it's a trademark. I think there is a patent to it as well. But to say that it's more impressive than L-carnitine, like Alcar or maybe carnitine tartrate, not really.
Because I think, if I remember correctly, there was a glycine attached to it, which is a non-essential amino acid.
Yeah.
So I don't know what it's going to do for that.
Like I said, on paper it looks good, but I don't think it's something that is overly impressive. It can be compared to 3D Pump because 3D Pump also has the ingredients that are known. They just blend it together,
Yep.
and that makes it a good ingredient, but it doesn't make it stand out like something super impressive.
Yep. Okay. One for you here. What are your thoughts on Alpha-Yo? Obviously, it's not in your products, but any ideas on Alpha-Yo?
So Alpha-Yohimbine, I have to take at a very, very, very low dosage. Like I said, when it comes to stems, I have I know that my body's very sensitive to stems. So whenever I see Alpha-Yohimbine, I have to make sure it's when I take it, it's at a very low dosage because the feeling I get afterwards, so during the time, it becomes too much for me. So
Shane,
I try to like keep it low.
Shane, do you like ingredients, pre-workouts with Alpha-Yo in it or no?
I mean, whatever gets the job done, really, right? I mean, if I'm tired, I'll make sure that bitch is in there. If I'm feeling pretty energized, whatever. I mean, I just dry scooped 1.5 servings of Ghost Legend, and then yesterday I did the unmatched one,
Okay.
BH2K. That was all there was. I didn't have a choice. So Gannett definitely, they both got the job done on both occasions. So,
Okay.
I mean, I'm not opposed. I'm definitely not opposed to Alpha-Yo. I mean, if you're a fan of a pollen, I think that question doesn't need to be asked. If you kind of gotta love that.
So you enjoy the runny nose and the cold sweats?
I don't get cold sweats or runny nose.
Really? Okay. That's how I know Alpha-Yo's in the products when I use them because I get that little bit of runny nose.
Nah.
I
don't
think it's very, very depends on the individual. I heard of quite a few people that don't get it as well, so I think it's very, very individual. I do. On a higher dose, I do get it. I try to use it more with Anarchy rather than Upon Nutrition, and I took it out of overtime, I believe, because I felt like maybe it's not really needed in that product. But yeah, I'm also like I'm not opposed to it at all. I mean, I understand the weird feeling that some people get. So depends on which pre-workout. If it's a very aggressive pre-workout, like really aggressive, it almost like it has to be there. Like one of those stim junkies, aggressive, powerful pre-workouts, kind of like Assassin. Then yes, absolutely. When it comes to Hooligan, which is strong but still a little bit more mainstream, then probably best to avoid it.
I feel with Katana, you have it in there, Robert. It's a good dosage, but for me, it kind of creeps up. It's not an instant. It's almost like towards the back end for me.
Yeah, interesting thing that I noticed with Alpha-Yo, and I noticed that with beta-alanine as well. When there are a lot of powerful ingredients, I mean, powerful in terms of stems, it seems like the stronger the pre-workout is, the less you feel beta-alanine, and probably the less you feel the effects of Alpha-Yo because it's just so much shit in it
Yep.
that makes the concoction so powerful. It's like a cocktail, basically. One will overpower the other. So I noticed with beta-alanine, for example, in Hooligan, you definitely feel it. You feel very strong beta-alanine at 6.4. You definitely felt. But if you take, for example, something like Ronin from Anarchy Labs, you will feel the power of that pre-workout. I mean, it's extremely strong pre-workout. But the beta-alanine tangles, even though it's also 6.4, you're not going to feel as much.
Yeah. Okay. So here's a question that came in. I'll open this for Juan or Robert. How do you educate someone into knowing which pre-workout will work for them? I don't know if you get that question all the time, Robert, because you've got a whole arsenal of pre-workouts.
I mean, I'll go first one if you don't mind.
Yeah, good.
I don't think that education is specifically needed for that. it's mostly like if somebody doesn't understand the ingredients and doesn't understand what's in a pre-workout, which is fine, and will ask me questions like, well, what to use. I'll probably ask a question back. What are your goals? Like, what do you want to achieve with your pre-workout? Because speaking specifically about our lines, Apollon or Anarchy, if somebody wants a little bit more endurance and performance and doesn't want something overly strong or too much pump, then Lionheart would be an obvious question, an obvious answer. But if somebody wants a strong pump ingredient, something that will get the job done, and they want to feel the energy and everything, then yes, Hooligan, hands down. If somebody doesn't want stems but wants the pump, then I'll say, okay, bare knuckle. But to say one is better than the other one, or to answer a question like, sometimes I'll get a question on Instagram, well, which pre-workout should I use? Like, how the fuck do I know? I don't know what your goals are. I don't know what sport are you playing. I don't know, your age. I don't know anything about you. So how can I answer that question? I mean, I don't think I'm qualified just because I own the brand and I know my supplements. I don't think I'm qualified to tell you what pre-workout to use. But if you give me a little bit of information and say, you know what, I'm not very knowledgeable when it comes to ingredients, I'm not very knowledgeable when it comes to pre-workouts, but I need something to give me a boost, then I will ask you back, like I said, what for? What do you need? You want pump, you want focus, you want euphoria, you want performance, what do you want? That's the reason why I always said that I don't believe there is such thing as the best pre-workout. There is a best pre-workout for you personally, and that pre-workout can be whatever the fuck you want it to be. I said semi-jokingly that Hooligan is the best pre-workout of the year, but I only said it because, like Shane pointed out, it's well balanced. It's balanced because it has performance, it has pump, it has energy that is strong but not overly crazy. It has everything that a pre-workout should have. So overall, as a well-balanced pre-workout, and from what I see that we released and that others released, in my opinion, Hooligan is the best pre-workout of the year, hands down. Is it a best pre-workout for any specific individual? That's not for me to answer. So I think it comes to individual choice and what your goals are.
Shane or Juan, do people ask you? I mean, Shane, I don't know. You've taken your choice of pre-workouts or your amount of pre-workouts.
I think it's trial and error, a lot of it. Like it sucks when someone says that, oh man, you should try this. This is gonna hit hard, and then you don't feel shit, or you end up being sick. But all the science says it should be fine for you. So like that happens probably a lot more than most. Like citrulline, like you get great pumps of 4, probably get great pumps of 8, 10, 6. And you sometimes you might not like this level of this, and so it's best to just the education part comes from knowing what's in it. And then, let's just say you liked the energy of this pre-workout. Take note of the stems, and take that knowledge to another product, and then so on and so on and so on. So, it's education, but very personal. Probably, if anyone asks me what should I take, I'm like, well, what have you liked? And I would try and find something similar. I wouldn't say oh, I love this. You should have this, otherwise you're wrong, because that's never ever the case.
Yeah, and I think that's the problem. There's so many people. Like, I'm in a lot of Facebook groups, and people say, "What's the best pre-workout for this?" And people are just throwing out their favorites, but again, not doing their investigations, which is kind of a peeve of mine. Juan, does anybody ask you? Because I know you have 2 products, obviously in the line, but the stems are pretty much the same.
No, even whenever I'm shopping out for other pre-workouts, I take it from my own experience, and I've had people ask me before, and the first thing I always do is kind of like what Robert was saying. I need to ask a bunch of questions about yourself, because if you don't know what your body's going to react well to, or you don't know what your goal is at the gym, or what you feel like you're lacking at the gym, then I really can't help you. I can't really point you to the right field as to what pre-workout would be best for you, because you got to know what your body can handle. You got to know what your body needs. You got to know what your body, what your strength is and what your sensitivity level to certain things are. And also on top of that, another thing that I always ask them too is, what's your budget? Because a lot of times, there are brands that make the label look really nice and flashy, and they overcharge their pre-workout just because of the nice fancy label. So if you have someone that's somewhat educated, at least, to say, hey, look, this one and this one are the exact same thing. This one looks prettier, so it's going to cost a lot more. But really, if you're on a budget, get this one. It's going to do the exact same thing. And a lot of times people don't really ask like, what's your budget? And I know for me, that's always a big one because, everybody likes to shop for a good deal.
Yeah. All right. So this might be the question of the night. Robert, I'll go to you first here. What's worse, an influencer pushing a bad product or a company underdosing a product?
That's a good one. I think second still, because the influencer will always say good things about the company that he's affiliated with. That's kind of a given. So even though we don't like it, we kind of come to expect it. I used this example before, even though I'm very friendly with him, but unfortunately I have to throw him under the bus again. And that's Nick Walker, who's been with 3 or 4 companies in the last 2 or 3 years. And every company he said is the best company in the world and the best ingredients and the best products and whatnot. He's expected to say that. We know he's lying. Everybody knows he's lying. Anyone with common sense knows he's lying. He knows he's lying too. And the company he represents also know that he's lying. So it's kind of like, you're expecting it. When it comes to brands, I see brands putting out products like Juan said with the fancy labels. More goes into marketing than into the product, or they do collaborations that sometimes are very nice collaborations and they fancy. But when you look at the formula and you look at the product and you realize, okay, these guys spent more money into marketing and pushing the product rather than into the product himself. So essentially, they are deceiving the consumer that doesn't know any better, and saying things that are absolutely not true. And in most cases, they know that they're not true. So I think, in my opinion, a company that is underdosing the product, because look, all the information is online. You don't have to be super smart, or you don't have to hire anyone. That's the reason why not many people hire formulators these days, because all the information is online. You know that, for example, alpha GPC has to be at 600 milligram, because at 600 milligram it yields 300, and that's the dose that is, the correct dose. Everybody knows that citrulline is probably the best at between 6 to 10,000 milligram or so, with 6 being a clinical dose that is more than acceptable. You can go as low as 3, 4. But if you have, 3 or 4 grams of citrulline malate, then you know it's underdosed. Or when you have tyrosine at 250 milligram, and I've seen even 50 milligram, as low as 50, then you know that it's a bad product. And especially what's worse is when those companies charge top dollar. And that's the reason why, I keep throwing, I usually speak very highly about companies like Jim and NutriBio, because in my opinion they solid brands. But I always throw in the mix Ghost. I always throw them in the mix. Why? Because number one, they don't claim to be the best. They don't make bold statements or anything like that. They created this community, they created this marketing, and they've done so well, and their products are actually solid, from their protein to their pre-workouts. They have really, are they the best? Are they premium? I would say they definitely not the best, but they could definitely be classified as premium, and they've done phenomenal job at both marketing and putting out solid products. So it's something that cannot be said about a lot of other companies that, take for example Raw. There are quite a few products that they have that not exactly outstanding products, but they put a lot of money and a lot of investment into having Chris Bumstead.
Yep.
And he's part owner. So obviously, Chris Bumstead, with 25 million followers on Instagram and being such a huge name, he will sell even shit products. So when it comes to Raw, I thought that Raw, and especially Revive, right now when somebody is asking to compare Apollo Nutrition, Healthline, and Revive, I don't think there is any competition. It's not even close. But a couple of years ago, Revive was putting out every formula was a solid formula. Right now, they're focusing more on their marketing. And when they are in Vitamin Shop and GNC all over the world, and they have C-Bomb, what else do you need? You don't need much more. So I don't know if they make any bold statements or anything like that, but there are companies out there who are making really bold statements that they're the best, they're the strongest, they're the most powerful, etc. But at the end of the day, they're not. So I think that I will always pick on brands before I pick on influencers. Influencers I just don't like that much, because they, for most part, they lie for a buck. but I do understand that's a job that they perform and it's expected. But when brands lie, even on, they will advertise premium whey protein, and you look, well, it's whey concentrate. It's not premium. It's whey concentrate. It's garbage. But they claim to be the best. That does bother me, and that always will get under my skin. But when a company says we are fully transparent, and this is the conversation that Juan and I have often, well, you don't have a fully transparent protein, so you're not a fully transparent brand. You have a fully transparent one or two products, does not make you a transparent brand because you're not. So those little things I do have a problem with.
Juan, I saw you chomping at the bit here. I saw the hater glasses go on for a minute. Do you want to jump in here?
I sure do. Honestly, I'm gonna put it more. Not to be a contrarian, but I'm gonna put it more on the influencers, because if a brand has a bad product, the brand's gonna have a bad product and it shouldn't sell anything. But it sells because of the influencer, in my opinion. And I hold it more on the influencer because it's like, better than to be trying to push this shitty ass brand or try to push a brand that sells a proprietary blend or anything like that. Like, if it's being underdosed, if it's just a fancy label, if they're overcharging, all this stuff, and yet you still go behind the camera and you still try to sell a shit product to people, to impressionable people at that too. And for me, it's like, if a brand is bad, they're not going to make any money. That's just the end of it. So, but the fact that influencers still go and try to claw at the teeth just to get a buck out of it, I hold more blame on the influencers more than anything, because they'll try to find a way to spin it around and make it look really good, and it's deceiving to people.
Okay, Shane, you want to top it off? Any 2 cents on that?
I mean, they both suck, really, don't they? Like, equally. Like, an influencer selling something that, like, jumps from like place to place, and then the same goes if it's like an underdose product. But then, I mean, it all depends. Like, if it's underdose, but it's $10, or it's like in a market where they can't go high, like, it's subjective. Whereas an influencer, like, I mean, yeah, I don't like either situation, to be honest.
Okay.
But like you were saying, like, they do know what they're doing more often than not.
Okay. All right, here's one from our good friend Dave Cook here for both Robert and Juan. Transparent Labs and NutriBio have disclosure of other ingredients on their label. Have either of you considered going this transparent for your proteins? So I'm assuming maybe more fillers, because Robert, I know you identified the flavors, the grams of the flavors, but I'm assuming maybe if there's things like high fructose corn syrup or maybe guar gum or something else, maybe that's what Dave's getting at.
No, they disclose the other ingredients, both NutriBio and Transparent Labs. Of course, for NutriBio, it's a little bit easier. I don't know if Transparent Labs, if they manufacture their own products or not. I'm not very familiar with them. And NutriBio, they manufacture their own products, so it's a little bit easier for them. For us, it's a little bit more challenging, especially when we work. I know I work with 3 different manufacturers, so it's a little bit harder to do that. But the thing is that at the end of the day, we're looking into 3 main categories, and that's fat, protein, and carbohydrates. I mean, that's what we are looking, the most at. And when it comes to specifically proteins, obviously, the yield amount is not. I don't even have that much of a problem with the, say, for example, isolate, not disclosing the yield, because we know isolate is 90%, so we know that the yield amount will come roughly about 10% less. But when it comes to concentrate, when it comes to certain things that we don't know what kind of concentrate, then yes, it's a huge problem, because your 20% protein or 25 grams of protein can be as low as 10 grams. And when it comes to other ingredients, I don't think it's necessary, to be honest, because when you add, say, for example, salt to your food, use a pinch of salt. You're not exactly measuring how much of salt you're getting into your, 6 ounces of protein of, meat, like chicken or steak. You have steak, you have chicken. So if you're getting ready for a show or you want to know your macros, you put salt and pepper on your chicken. You don't exactly know how much pepper and how much salt you're using specifically. Although on the transparent label it says how much sodium is in that product. So I think it's a step a little bit further. It's a great step. But that's a little bit, I think, showing off more than anything. I don't think it's completely necessary. Is it a good move? Yes. Would I entertain the idea? I would, but I don't think it's super necessary. I think as long as you have the carbohydrates, fats, and maybe sodium and absolutely protein disclosed, that's what matters the most. That's just a little extra step that is fancy, nice, but a little bit too fancy and too nice and not really necessary.
Juan, your thoughts?
No, I'm more along the line with Robert on this one. I don't think to me it's not a make or break on if I buy it or not. My main make or break is, do I see disclosure or no? If I don't see disclosure, I'm not going to buy it. But yeah, I think before brands start doing the whole fully transparent to that degree, we need to see all brands have a protein disclosure first before we start tackling that next step, in my opinion.
Shane, what do you think, brother? Is that too extreme, or?
I mean, I think it's a little bit too much. Like, I mean, not that it's like too much. It's great to see, but if someone said their stuff was transparent and you didn't do that, I mean, it's still transparent in the traditional sense. Like going that deep, like Robert said, really only some brands are capable of it, and then it's cool to see. Definitely helps them stand out. Like they can clearly say nobody's as transparent as us. That's a pretty cool thing to be able to do.
Yep.
But I mean, so long as the key things are transparent, I don't think like you should be disappointed. Like so long as the the actual active ingredients and stuff are there, then I wouldn't see a problem.
Okay. Here's another one with Dave. Curious to what you guys, first thing that went to mind when you heard about the news of AlphaSap's protein results. Juan, have you followed AlphaSap? So you understand the scandal? Have you been part of this or no?
That's the one from I think it was supposed to be that Facebook group where the third party was testing, right?
Yeah, they had like 24 grams on the label, but the test was showing like 10 to 12 grams of protein.
Holy shit.
Yeah, it came, I believe, from Fitness Ryan. I think Ryan, the one who broke the news, right?
And, well, he teased about it. I mean, let's be honest here. He broke it. Him and Ben broke it weeks ago, saying that they were going to launch it. But I think something happened that they got a cease and desist or something.
Okay, so let's be totally transparent and let's be totally honest on this one. Number one, and again, I just talked to Ryan like probably about an hour ago. Ryan and I get along great. I don't have an issue with him. However, I will say it again. If Ryan worked with this particular company, would he report this? I don't think so. And again, I don't mean it in any mean way or anything like that. That's number one. Number two, I didn't see a big deal about it at all. I just could care less about it. Why? Because if we test probably 60-70% of the companies, we will find out exactly the same shit.
Yeah.
I don't think that's like any breaking news. And
What's the name of the brand?
AlphaSaps. I know it was like we were thinking it's gonna be somebody big, and my thought was, who the hell is
because
AlphaSaps?
everybody thought it was Alpha Line. It's not Alpha Line. It's AlphaSaps. It's a smaller company, and everybody's.
We talked about this, did we not?
Yeah, everybody picked on it. Like I said, I'm not saying that what they've done is good, but the thing is like, really, come on, give me a break. I can name actually at least one company. At least one company. I will not. I'll behave. I can name at least one company that I know for sure that Ryan promotes and works with, and they cheating on their label. I know at least one company, and I know that for sure. I know that for sure. Yeah, I know that's for sure. But again, there are a lot of companies out there that are cheating. There are a lot of companies that are cheating knowingly. There are a lot of idiots that own brands and they don't know that they're cheating because the manufacturer sells them shit. So they're just not looking into it. But I think that this got blown way out of proportion because there was a list published a couple of years ago, and there were some big names, like really, really big names, that didn't deliver quite a bit. And I mean, huge names. So this is a smaller company. I mean, really, give me a break. I think it's news that are not really news. Nobody cares. At least I don't care.
No, I think 60% of the people were like Alpha who?
Yeah. Like I said, the only reason why everybody kind of like, oh, Alpha Line. Well, it's not Alpha Line. It's AlphaSap's company that I didn't even know exists. It's a big deal because it happens in this industry left and right. I actually know of one manufacturer that approached me. He's a big manufacturer actually. He manufactures for some bigger brands, and I'll tell you probably when we turn off the recording. But he manufactures for big brands, and he specifically told me over the phone that he can give me cheaper prices on my supplements. I was like, oh, really? How cheap? And he quoted me one product that we make that is a lot cheaper. I was like, how the fuck you able to do that? I thought he wants me to buy like 100,000 units or something like that. And he explained it very well. He goes, well, we're going to take some of the trademark ingredients and we're going to mix it with generic. And we're
Oh,
going to do
shit.
this and we're going to do that. So, it's done. It's being done. It's something that's been going on in the industry for God knows how long. So why is everybody so surprised?
Yeah. Juan, did you get any kind of deception when you were shopping vendors or manufacturers?
Whenever I tell them flat out what I want as far as like for a protein MOQ price, and if it's not in the same ballpark as to what I have, then I already know. If I know it's like a lot cheaper, then I know that something's not right. So I try to be very, very, very thorough with who I manufacture with as far as my protein,
Yep.
because I'm not going to use the same manufacturer as I did with the original protein. I'm using a new manufacturer.
Okay. So Dave is hot today. Here's a company called Basic Supplements has provided a little different type of disclosure on their proteins, showing the percentage of protein you get from each serving. Instead of actually, I guess, telling you what the yield is, it's using a percentage. An interesting disclosure on their labels. I've never heard of the company. I don't know if you guys have heard this
No, I haven't heard of
company or
it.
this type of
It's called Basic Supplements. I've never heard of them.
supplements.
I think that's a newer company that I saw Price Plow is working with. I think something like that. Maybe I'm wrong.
Like, is it presented as like they're the first to do a percentage? I'm not understanding what.
So I'm assuming like Robic, if he says his protein's 25 grams, it's going to yield, let's say 22. But instead, the way I'm reading this is if the company says 25 grams, you're going to get 90% of that 25 grams instead
So
of giving it
basically,
some
it's
number.
potato
Yeah.
potato, same shit. Who cares?
Wait, what? I don't like. I know basic supplements, but I'm confused as to what like. I'm confused as to what they're saying.
So instead of giving you,
Oh,
I
the
guess,
label.
a yield
No,
number, it's a percentage.
no. He's not giving a yield. He's giving a percentage of the serving. So if the serving is 10 grams, 75% is protein, 7.5 grams is protein. They do that in Europe. That's a Europe thing.
I was
Give you a
looking at the
percentage.
label, and the metrics are different on the label.
So is it
Yeah,
kind
it looks like the overall percentage of the serving. Yeah, that's 84% in the isolate. I think that's so in Europe you'll see on protein bars and drinks it'd be like 25% protein, and people will be like, "Well, that's amazing," which is kind of good if you're talking about like a 60-gram bar.
yeah.
That's how they operate. I mean, it's cool that they're doing that. I don't think it's like anything groundbreaking. It's like depends how it's being presented, really.
Yeah, I
Okay.
agree. It's definitely not groundbreaking. Nothing special or unique about it. It's just cool, different,
Yeah,
and
I think
very
I think they
European way
just
of doing it. That's it.
I think they just sort of I think they're just saying like of our serving size, 75% is protein.
Okay. So here's one for
To be honest, that is an important fact because there are some guys that'll say 25 grams of protein in a 45-gram scoop, and in a 5-pound tub, that shit shrinks you down pretty quickly.
So here's one from our friend Simon Robic. He says, "Do you guys know or have any idea why sometimes Niacin flush can be very mild and the next day so strong to the point I have to sit through it for like 20 minutes in my car outside the gym? I'm assuming it's a pre-workout. Maybe he's not shaking it enough."
It depends on niacin that they use. I know there are different types of niacin that different manufacturers use. I mean, obviously, it depends on the dosage as well. And then you have a combination with beta alanine, which makes it a little bit more extreme, I guess. And plus, personal reaction from day to day can be also different. I know that some people use pre-workout. It can be the same tub, and they will take a serving and they say like, "Oh my God, today Alpha-Yo beta alanine, I feel even more than I felt last time." And so I think that's totally normal.
Okay. Okay, Juan, well, let's this for you. Maybe you can answer this one. At all the times I take pre-workouts first thing in the morning, so I can't figure out why sometimes it kills me and sometimes I won't feel it on a specific product. I can name it if you want.
But what is he asking though? Like, is he saying like why can't he feel it in the morning sometimes?
I'm thinking probably hits different ways each time he takes it. It's kind of what I'm reading through this.
I think it just depends on I guess it sounds weird, but how you wake up in the morning. Because sometimes when you wake up like super exhausted, super tired, sometimes the pre-workout is not going to hit the way you want it to. Because I know for me, like whenever I wake up in the morning, first thing I do is I drink my creatine and my electrolytes first thing in the morning, and from there I'll wait a little bit and then I'll drink my pre-workout, and I can feel everything because my body's already wide awake. I know sometimes people will still take their pre-workout while they're halfway asleep.
Okay. So, Robert, somebody had asked too, they would want you to be honest, and Juan's aware of this, to look at his formula. I don't know if you can see, if I bring it up, if you'll be able to read it on your screen or not, or if you've looked at it previously.
A while ago.
So I don't know, can you see that or no?
No, not really.
Right.
I know Robert's going to tear it apart. I know he will. I know he's going to tear it apart.
So, Juan, do you want to read it? You want to read it off since you probably know it, or I can read it off for you?
Yeah, I can read it. I can tell him right now. All right. So for energy, it's 250 milligrams of caffeine. Theobromine, you got 100 milligrams, and you have 50 milligrams of synephrine HCl. And then for as far as the pump and endurance, you have 8 whole grams of pure L-citrulline. You have 1.5 grams of agmatine sulfate, 2 grams of taurine, and this is the part where you're going to pick it apart at. 200 milligrams of norvaline. And then for the focus, you have 1 gram of tyrosine, 600 milligrams of alpha GPC at 50%, and you have huperzine A at 15 milligrams.
I know it's hard to analyze when you just heard all that.
No. I actually remember everything. It's a great formula. It's a great formula.
I'll say right now I have it at speaking of the overcharging, right now I have it at 3150 per tub.
I don't think you're overcharging. That's number one. Number two, I think it's a solid formula. Listen, not everything has to be maxed out. At 8 grams citrulline, you already have a very, very solid pump. I mean, that's pretty much ideal. In terms of criticizing, I know where everybody's going with this because I'm not a big fan of Norvalin. But
why is that? Why is that?
Because it's not good. It's not a good ingredient. I mean, that's just it's a fact. But also, don't forget, this is Juan's first formula.
Yes.
Second one, but this is the one that's gotten like such great reception, and I think also too
well, number one is pretty honest. He's an honest guy. We really hit it off, and I'm very honest with him, and he's very honest with me, and we message each other and we talk a lot and stuff like that. And I will not, everybody expects that I will tear him apart. No, I'm not going to do that, and I'll explain why. Number one, nothing wrong with the formula except Norvalin. Yeah, I don't like it there. I don't like that ingredient, period. I think it's a shit ingredient. But this is coming from somebody who the most hated ingredient that I have is S7. And I've used it. And I've used it on my third or fourth pre-workout. So I didn't do enough research. And I kind of jumped on the bandwagon and did something that I don't agree with. I also had glycerol in my pre-workout, and I think glycerol at 2, 3, 4 grams is shit, and it clumps the product. It's not good. It has to be at 15, 20 grams. That's the reason why liquid products are way better than having it in a powder form. I mean, if you want to have it in a capsule form, you can, use as many capsules as you want, then it's fine. But in a pre-workout, most of them clump the shit out of your pre-workout and they destroy it. So it's not a good ingredient. S7, Norvalin, they shit. They don't do much. But the thing is that his product has 8 grams of citrulline, pure citrulline. You will have fucking pumps. So the only thing is that you're not going to feel that Norvalin, and it's not needed there. But it's also cheap shit ingredient. So I'll bet anything that in his next version he's not going to have that ingredient in that. I just know he's not going to have it. I'm pretty sure he's thinking about it right now. But the thing
Actually,
is,
I actually have breaking news.
that you see, I know where he's heading with this. But the thing
So
is that his pre-workout, there's not, especially for that price. For that price, how can you go wrong? It's a solid fucking formula. It will deliver the caffeine amount of 250 milligrams is solid. It's not strong. It's not weak. It's good. I think it's a great pre-workout, especially considering the price. He's not trying to rip people off. He's not making bold claims that this is the greatest pre-workout ever created. He's not treating it as number one premium, even though it could be argued that this is a pretty solid, transparent formula. Every ingredient is fully dosed. There's nothing wrong with the dosages that he's using. So I would give it a solid B, a very solid B. And if it wasn't for Narvalin, I would give it a B plus or A minus. But it's a solid pre-workout, and especially if you're considering the price. So well done.
hey, thank you. I appreciate that. I mean, I've never gotten a B in high school. When I had to pay my teacher, when I had to pay my teacher, I got an A plus. So I earned an actual B. I feel good. Thanks, Robert. Actually, I've been doing some thinking. I think Dave. So shout out to Dave Engelman. He's a big supporter. He put a question on there, and it was something like if there's something that maybe I would change or do something different with Volume 2. So one thing that I've been shopping around, and I think I made my final decision. Sean, I love music a lot. I'm thinking about doing it's going to be called Volume 2, but I'm gonna use the term remix. So like you get the song, you remix a song. It's
Yep.
still the same overall basis, but you make some changes here and there. So I'm gonna make some changes here and there on Volume 2 if I do a remix version of it.
And basically, it's subtracting Norvalin, from what I hear.
I don't know. Yeah, I'm still tweaking around the formula, so I'm still tweaking around a little bit. But I know there's some the staple ingredients, which is the caffeine, synephrine, theobromine, citrulline, agmatine sulfate. Because I love agmatine sulfate with citrulline. To me, it gives me a crazy pump, and it intensifies that pump like crazy. And I'm gonna keep the nootropics the same, but I might mess around with the dosages a little bit. It's not gonna be Volume 3, but it's gonna be like kind of like a little bit of the bridge.
Yep. So someone had asked too for Juan and Robic, any new protein flavors coming out?
Yes, for me.
I have flavor ideas that I'm ready to shop around. As soon as this original batch of protein is gone, I'm shopping around. I already have different flavor ideas.
Okay.
I think I have 2, possibly 3 before the end of the year.
Both
Oh,
iso.
yeah, I have. I'm
Isobest
lying.
and
I have at least 4 in different proteins. At least 4 new flavors.
both
I got
sides,
4 flavors.
isobest and it's 50-50. Sorry.
Well, I can actually share this. So we're doing egg protein, so it's going to be. I don't know if Mr. Smith's going to consider it as a new product or not, because the egg protein that we had was it has some fats in it and it had higher calories. This protein is from a different manufacturer, and it's going to have just egg whites. It's going to be extremely low in calories, so we're going to basically clash heads with Mr. Gaspari because it's going to be on a very low side of calories. It's going to be completely redone, and we're going to have at least 2 new flavors also done in that category, and that's going to be released before the end of the year. And then we're going to have a brand new flavor in 50/50 and a brand new limited flavor in Isoblast. So actually all 3 are going to get hit before the end of the year in the next 6-7 weeks.
All righty. Shane, we'll ask you this one here. I know we talked about it earlier, but a little change here. With the buyout of Ghost, how does that work with all the copyrighted bands that they market?
I mean, I don't think it changes, does it? Right?
Or maybe the collabs that they have too. I don't know if they'll make a difference with the collabs.
I mean, as far as I know, Dan's pretty good with I mean, we've seen a few of those collabs change hands. Like there were 2 that did. Was it Sunny D? I can't remember. There've been a couple double ups. The Girl Scouts are from GNC to Glambia. I know C4. I thought C4 stopped one. Was it the Starburst? I think I heard. But as far as I know, Ghost is like they lock their shit down tight. Like I don't see why it would conflict. It's like they're just licensing. It's not like they own any of that stuff. They'll just be paying the fee to use a brand name or whatever. So
That's what I
Shane,
was gonna say.
if anything,
It's a licensing deal.
Shane, and
yeah.
correct me if I'm wrong, but I think if the company is buying another company, they're probably going to keep the company pretty much the same. They're just going to own it. So probably the people who operate, who run Ghost, they're probably going to remain on board, or at least
So
most of
I
them.
think like well, it's Dr Pepper, so like they handle beverage pretty solid. So I think that side is what's gonna become a lot more efficient, probably scaled a lot better with the energy drink. And then I would think that the supplements, like I said, Dan and Ryan are staying on board seemingly for that purpose. So I suspect like Dr Pepper will just juice up the drink, and then these guys are gonna have a lot less on their plate to really work on the supplements. So it's kind of and like I said, if they didn't want them there, they probably wouldn't be there. Like they don't. You saw the number; they wouldn't need to be there.
There's got to be some kind of exit strategy, though. Like they get a second payment in 2 years, but that's probably a 2-year gap to transition all their knowledge over to them, I would think.
I don't think so.
No?
I when I talked to Dan, like when I read the deal, the fact that supplements were included and then Dan was staying, he doesn't need to stay. He could have like maybe the number was high, but he could have turned around and been like, "Hey, can we just add this much and you take both and I'm out?" He did it. Like I don't know what the details behind the scenes are, but he stayed, and I thought that was a big thing. And he's been given. I mean, it's not like he's selling to Nutrabolt or Glanbia or someone. He's selling to a beverage specialist.
Yeah.
And so, like, if anything, they've got him to do the supplements like he knows how. And like they're staying. And I think that's a core thing to remember. And while we have a lot of examples in the history of like someone taking over this brand and it turns to Deck, like I get that. But I don't think that, I think if anything, if anyone's going to change that pattern, it's going to be them. Like they, at no point have they done anything to make you think that they're going to change how they're operating. And I think the core part is that Dan's there. Like, he wouldn't stay if he was going to do jack shit.
Yep. Okay.
Like, if he had hands off, I don't think he would have been staying. If they were like, "We need you to be hands off," he would probably just step away. And I imagine there would have been announced that he's not a part of it to kind of. I would think that knowing him and his legacy and legend, or like just reputation with Ghost, if he's there, he's not going to do anything that would want to lower that or lesser that. And he worked with the biggest brand, one of the biggest brands there is back in the day.
Okay. So as we wind down here, Shane, I know it's still early, but what's any updates on the Arnold Classic for Columbus this year, for next year, or what's the latest and greatest?
I mean, it's happening again. That's a pretty cool thing. That's all. So,
Are you still going to stick to the only brand new brands, or are you going to kind of grandfather in some of the other brands now?
I mean, it's kind of whoever kind of fits. So we've had people reach out and guys that would really, really want to include. We're announcing them piece by piece. So I think Ghost was announced last week. Could give like a teaser. I think tomorrow. They don't know it yet. Maybe I should tell them, or maybe I should ask. It was going to be NutriBio, so they're there again. They'll be. I think you got Ghost front right. NutriBio is, I think, pretty sure they're just to the left with the one over. There's 25 to 30 in there at the moment. If all goes well, I'll get 36 because there's room to add another aisle, but I don't want to have a half aisle.
Yep.
But looking at the floor plan, like this past year, they were telling me there was close to 90,000 like unique ticket people that were there at the event. I would say that like with that increase in prize money to $500,000, and I mean if they were very successful this year, so they're going to double down for next year. And looking at the floor plan, like if there's a brand who wants to come in and sponsor something large, there's no space for it. So it's probably the first, like last year that wasn't the case, and it was huge. So it's a good indication that yeah, I think it's going to be bigger, like much bigger. I'm trying to get them to fill up the whole building. So that's my goal.
But Gene, how many vendors did you have under the Stack Pavilion this past year? Actually, this year in March.
It's probably close to the amount we have now. We're adding a few others, but I didn't want to add. I didn't want to add too much more anyway. It takes away from the uniqueness of it. I think if you had half the building was the Stacked Pavilion, it wouldn't be as special as if it was like the cool kids at the front type shit.
Okay.
I don't think there's a limit on it. Like I wouldn't want it to be too big. I wouldn't want it to be too small. I think last year was was nice and big. And when we come to think of it, like we had collectively 8 20 by 30s. So it's like 160 by 30. It's like it was the largest space on the floor collectively.
Yep.
And I like that. I'm happy with that.
That's awesome.
I think
any other updates?
Cool.
Any other updates from Stack as we wind down? Website development, anything whatsoever?
I mean, we got supply side, so I've been doing jack shit on the website and been doing mostly meeting with this person, that person. I've got to meet up with some old dude tomorrow. I think he's going to the gym, and then we're going to dinner. Can't remember his name.
Some old boxer.
Yeah, some like Rocky type fella. Can't remember.
So, Robert, what's coming out? You just dropped your joint formula. Anything coming out this week, next week? You want to share, tease, anything?
Jeez, joint formula came out, and then Javan comes out this weekend for Anarchy Labs, and there is definitely more. Yeah, I mean, probably every 2-3 weeks there's going to be something else, and some weeks we're going to have like 2 or 3 releases. So yeah, it's tight as usual.
And you got some new shirts in, which is nice. Some updates.
Yeah.
Juan, as we wind down, any announcements for you, my friend? Anything to kind of close us out?
Not at the moment. No, not at the moment. No.
He's working on his remix.
Actually, I am working on a remix. Yeah.
So, Juan, where can everybody go to follow you, buy merchandise, everything else?
GainsLifestyle.com, and just like I was saying to Robert, when you go for the checkout on Volume 2, use code SUPPORT in all caps, and that'll take the pre-workout from $44.99 all the way to $31.50, and you get a free shaker cup with every purchase.
Awesome. And if anybody's at Supply Side West, look up these two beautiful gentlemen, and both Robert and Shane. And as always, thank you so much for tuning in. Have a great night.